How you doing, YouTube? Matt Massa Beer Reviews, back with a new brewery time. From my boy Steven. This is from Phantom Brewing. This is their Phantasm Berlinerweisse with Blood Orange. Yeah. This is actually one of his buddies opened this brewery. I believe that's what he told me. And it's a, 3.5% Berlinerweisse with Blood Orange. It's a very tiny beer, so we'll see what's what. These super low ABV level kind of Berliners with fruit can be a tricky thing, I think, for a lot of breweries to pull off. Mainly a sulfur, big, huge, kind of rotten egg, poopy egg, kind of farty egg, kind of sulfur component can accompany these lower ABV kind of kettle sour. So we'll see how this brewery plays. Label-wise, it's all right. It's a little kind of ghetto, but in a kind of metal kind of way, so I don't hate on it. What does that look like? Looks like hazy pale ale. Looks like a Berliner. Looks like a bunch of different other beers. It's got a beautiful rocky head on it. Soft, luscious haze to it. Yeah. Let's see what the nose has. And it's weird because I was like, okay, I kind of, at the outset, kind of planted this kind of farty egg thing in here. There's something weird in here, but it has nothing to do with sulfur. It has nothing to do with that kind of off note in it just kind of comes off as a weird kind of maybe like uncooked graininess. I'm not saying I hate it, but there's something about this. It doesn't come off what you'd expect with Blood Orange. Not grapefruit, which is predominantly how Blood Orange comes off. Even with soft little citrus notes, it's not really presenting that. What is that? It's like cereal. It's like Cheerio dust. That's kind of what I smell, but like a wet Cheerio dust. So that's where I'm getting that kind of uncooked grain kind of thing. And that's pretty much all I'm getting. I'm not getting much, if any, sweetness, bittering, citrus, or anything like that. It's kind of neutral on the nose. So I'm kind of curious to see how it tastes. Let's dive in. Cheers. Yeah, it kind of follows suit in the taste. You do get a little bit of soft, grapefruity, but more blood orange, because it's not straight blood orange when you're talking about a grapefruit. There is a bleed together between that kind of grapefruit wing and a little bit of orange characteristic, and you actually get this here, but it's very, very minimal. Listen, we're talking 3.5%. It's not a big beer, so it's a very, very soft grapefruit / underripened kind of orange thing. That cereal grain goes next level in the taste, but it's not Cheerio dust. You know what dust is? Because it gets a little bit sweeter. Remember honeycomb cereal? It's honeycomb dust. Probably somewhere between Cheerio dust and honeycomb dust. So mix those two dusts together. You guys know what I mean by dust, right? The empty end of the bag and the little cereal dust. There's a little pop of like tartness, almost wanting to become acidity on like the roof of my palate, and that's it. It's done. There's really not much to this beer outside of that. That little bit of Cheerio / honeycomb dust kind of lingers. That citrus rides off pretty quick. It's not a negative beer. This is very muted. Yeah, very muted. There's really not much to it. It's kind of one of those things where you're like, okay, you have to have your expectations in check because you're dealing with a 3.5% beer. That's a very, very tiny beer. But when you're talking about these kind of fruited sour kind of beers, you can get these flavors a little bit more explosive, a little bit more sharper at that lower ABV level, especially when you're talking adding like the blood orange or other kind of fruit components and let them really drive the kind of the sharp kind of aggressive kind of taste in it. And the blood orange just comes off very minimal in here. Again, I keep saying minimal, but also minimal for 3.5% beer. I'm not saying minimal and not factoring in the lower ABV of the beer. Outside of that, like I said, it's not a negative beer, but that cereal graininess comes off a little bit uncooked, so it's not necessarily an off flavor, just kind of like, I think, a style choice for this kind of beer that comes off a little bit different. Maybe they did really short maybe they did like a real short boil on it or something like that to try to keep the ABV level down or something along those lines. That's why the grain comes off as not as toasty or undercooked, something along those lines. So it's not a bad beer by any stretch of imagination. Just lacks a little bit of inspiration, a little bit of chutzpah. But I have another one. I have another one of these same ABV level, but that has actually passion fruit in it. I'm expecting that to be much more aggressive than this, only for the strict fact that passion fruit is a relatively aggressive, at least for me, kind of flavor that comes off. You know, if you add equal parts blood orange to a beer, then equal parts passion fruit, the passion fruit is going to dominate. That's usually how it works for me. So I'm assuming it's going to be a little bit more aggressive. So it'll be fun to see how that assumption of a bigger kind of aggressive fruit portion of the show carries over to the beer and maybe changes it in some form of fact. So yeah, it is what it is. It's not negative, but it's just lacking something for me. So yeah, let's talk about it. Is it one of the better fruited Berliners I've had as late? No. But I'm excited to try the next one. Value and availability? No idea. Steven, let me know what's what and leave you with. If you like what, will you like this beer? If you like really soft drinking, soft tart kind of Berliners, I mean, this is very, 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 very gentle, very soft. You do get what's in there. You get that blood orange. You do get a little soft graininess, but it comes off, you know, a little uncooked, a little bit light. So if you like your stuff more on the kind of gentle side than aggressive, this is definitely going to work. So there you go. Another review in the books. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Down there if you want to talk about it. Massive Beers. If you want to check Matt doing the social media stuff, Beer Massive. Want to check Matt doing the whole podcasting thing, and hopefully you guys enjoyed the review. Hopefully enjoying a little bit of blood orange whatevers. We'll see you next time. Cheers.